this is the Provoked Prawn, and this is the Rode NT1, and I could read the back of a cereal box and some people would still listen, but in this video I'm going to talk to you about the 5th generation of the Rode NT1, which is a large diaphragm cardioid condenser studio microphone that's designed to capture some pretty interesting quality sound. In this video I'm going to be unboxing this microphone, showing you what's included with it, and talking about the various highlights. Now this is interesting because it's an XLR microphone, but it also offers USB-C connection, as you can see on the bottom here. So you have the choice of which you use. And it's got an onboard DSP, which is digital signal processing, which means that noise gate and compressor settings can be applied directly to the microphone using that USB-C connection, which is interesting because usually things like that on a microphone like this require a audio mixer like the Rodecaster Pro 2. Just to give you a tease of what's happening, I'm using the microphone now for the voiceover for this video, but I'm also going to show you the USB connection later on and talk about some of the settings and highlights of it, as well as one simple stupid problem I've had with the microphone, which I think is worth addressing. Now in the box you get a number of nice things, including a pop filter that you saw me pop out immediately, a shock mount system which you can attach to your boom arm, the microphone itself, and a very nice XLR cable. And the microphone is fairly compact, as you can see, and has a really nice style to it. And it's really interesting that they've included that USB connection as well as XLR, because it gives you the option to use USB and then upgrade to XLR, or to potentially take the mic with you places and then plug and play into other devices and use it to record externally, which is really interesting. And I haven't seen this on many other microphones. It is available on things like the Shure MV7, so it's worth noting that. But this microphone is interesting because you can't use both at the same time, and you'll see that USB-C connection is recessed. I'm using it in XLR mode at the moment with the Rodecaster Pro 2, but I will show you some other setups later on. And this is potentially interesting because it has a number of other highlights to it. So for example, it has a 32-bit floating point digital output, which Rode says means you won't be able to clip. So if you're really loud and shout into your mic a lot, this should be great for you as well. So you get a nice little package included in the box with a lot of things that you'd usually have to buy separately. And that's a bonus because this is a pretty expensive microphone, but you are paying for a really good quality studio microphone. Obviously captures really good sound, but it also has that low noise level. So it's designed to eliminate background noise, but also work really well if you're planning on talking really quietly to it. So if you are an ASMR person, you should find that you still get really good quality sound as well. And so that has that added benefit of being able to do all those things. Has capabilities obviously to work with whatever you're planning on doing, whether you're doing, like I would be doing, voiceovers or streaming, or you can use musical instruments with it. It's designed for studio capture quality, so a variety of different things. And Rode's NT1 setup has been preferred by a lot of people for a long time, so this 5th generation with a number of enhancements should make it pretty appealing. Also, you can see it's a pretty nice looking microphone, and out of the box you essentially got the majority of the things that you need to get started. So obviously shock mount, pop filter, it has an integral shock mount as well in the capsule, so that's pretty interesting. And then you just need a boom arm, XLR or USB connection, and you're away. Now obviously if you're going XLR you will need some other interfaces. I said I'm using the Rodecaster Pro 2 for example, more on that in a minute, but you can theoretically use it with a Go XLR for example, or the Razer Audio Mixer, and it doesn't require any extra boost to it. It's a condenser microphone, so you do need 48 volts of phantom power, but otherwise it didn't need any extra boost to get it going up. Now I'm using it here with the Rode PSA 1 Plus. Obviously you need a boom arm to get it onto the desk and in a good position, or a mic stand depending on how you're using it. And you can see the process for setting it up here. This shock mount makes it adjustable into a variety of positions. What I will note is I have made a mistake here in this B-roll footage that you're seeing, and it's very important to note because this is the biggest problem I had with this microphone, which actually prevented me from doing the review for a while. And that was a really stupid mistake that isn't immediately obvious, so I want to cover it here. But you can see during this installation process that I've mounted the microphone so that the logo is facing towards the pop filter and towards where I was going to be speaking into. That was a mistake because you actually need to make it mount with the gold dot facing you if you want the best sound out of it. More on that in a second. And you can see here that USB-C connection plugs into the bottom and then runs off to your PC. So you obviously have the bonus of, if you're purchasing this microphone, you can then use it with a USB connection and then maybe upgrade in future to XLR if you want to save money. So it's a good sort of starting point, really good quality microphone, USB connection, nice and simple plug and play, firmware updates via Rode Central, and then potentially make it even better with a mixer that gives you access to more things. But you're paying a lot of money for a microphone, then you're also getting a lot of things included with it and a lot of flexibility in how you use it too. And it also sounds fantastic, as you can hear. So it's a really good sounding microphone, no matter what you're doing, whether you're really loud or really, really quiet. So I'm actually really impressed with it. I wasn't when I first got it out of the box because I had it installed the wrong way around. It was picking up too much sound and I sounded really muddy. If you go and check out my Corsair H170i Elite Caplix XT video, you'll hear me sounding really muddy and awful. And I was annoyed because I'd done it with this microphone and it wasn't clear why. But I made a stupid mistake. Don't make the same mistake. Make sure the gold dot is facing you. So that's really important. Don't have the logo facing towards you. That's my biggest takeaway from this video, other than the fact that this is an awesome microphone. So now I want to go into showing you sound settings and doing some comparisons and other things. So stick with me as I show you all those different things. But quick note, if you want to keep it clean, there's also a dust cover. So a quick note about the setup with the Rodecaster Pro 2. Remarkably easy because you just set it up and you can see in the default settings that you can just choose the Rode NT1 and then you can switch between various different processing capabilities. I've got it set to neutral now, so it's not actually set with broadcaster. You can adjust all the processing settings. I didn't find I had to adjust much of it as the default sound is actually really good, and that's the benefit of the Rodecaster Pro 2. Obviously, especially if you're using it with a Rode mic, you can just basically select the right one and you're away. And here I am with the Rode NT1, and this is how I've been talking to you the whole time. Now, here, just quickly demonstrate the important bit of what I was talking about. You can see the logo is facing you, which just means the gold dot is facing me. Very important, because you can't talk into both sides of it, or you can, but if you do from that angle, it will be terrible. Obviously, also a nice looking mic to have on your stream, potentially. And with the adjustability of the shock mount, we could put it off to the side a bit, maybe. Adjust it where you need to be. Obviously, you're better off talking into it like this, or this, rather than facing away from it. But you can angle it around with that system fairly straightforward. Pretty simple. Now, the other thing I wanted to demonstrate is it's plugged into the Rodecaster Pro 2, and also plugged into that is the Shure SM7B, which is my usual microphone. So I'm just going to quickly demonstrate the differences between those. So this is obviously the NT1, and now this is the Shure SM7B. Now this is my default settings for this microphone, and this NT1 is now muted, so you can hear the difference between them. You'll hear that both sound pretty fantastic, so I'm now back on the NT1. Yeah, you do benefit from getting them both really close to you. I'll be honest, very few microphones have managed to knock the Shure off the list of my favourites. I still use it as a solid favourite, but the NT1 is very close to it. You can hear the quality difference is very good, so even just switching between them, you might not even notice the difference. And that's obviously dynamic versus condenser microphone, so quite a different setup there. And yet the NT1 has a lot on offer and had really, really rich sound and the ability to just whisper to it quietly if you want to, or shout really loudly if you're into that sort of thing, and without much problem. Obviously also the flexibility of a USB-C connection, and it's more affordable than the Shure microphone as well. So this thing has a lot of stuff going for it. And now I'm going to show you some other things, because it's not fair to obviously demonstrate just with the Rodecaster Pro 2, because that's an expensive bit of kit. Maybe you want to start out with just USB-C or something more affordable like the Go XLR Mini, for example. So we're going to go into something like that. And here I am with the Rode mic in USB mode. So you can see black cable instead of a red one now, and this is USB connection. Now, a few things about this. One, you want to download Rode Connect because that's a piece of software that is designed for podcasting that would require a separate video, frankly, but it will help with the firmware updates. So you want to do that, make sure you're doing that. You can also run through virtual software settings in there and assign things, but that's an entirely different video. And the other thing is that obviously in USB mode, there's no mic monitoring, which is a shame. So that's the one thing. There's no 3.5mm connection on here. So unless you go into the Windows sound settings and set the mic to listen mode, which you can do in the advanced settings in Windows sound settings, you can't hear yourself like you can once you have it in an XLR connection. So that's worth bearing in mind. However, the quality is still really good. One thing that I have noticed, obviously, is that as standard USB plug and play, it doesn't eliminate as much background noise, because I can see when I'm looking at OBS Studio that the mic is picking up some background noise when I'm not talking. So when I'm really quiet, it might be picking up fan noise. So what I'm going to do now is just do some typing in the background. Now, obviously, if you have an XLR interface with noise cancellation, you can eliminate some of that. There are other things that you can do if you do find it's a problem. I don't think it is a massive problem because it doesn't seem to be coming through to the audio very much from the tests that I've done. But you could obviously move the mic closer, turn the gain down a little bit, and other things if you do find it's an issue. I don't think you will, though, if I'm honest. I think the sound sounds great. So there are obviously highlights to it, and the fact that Rode Connect gives you the ability to basically set up virtual sound sources and tweak things there, so you've got some potential there. This is more powerful once you get it into an XLR interface, but that's the same with any XLR microphone. But this is the sound capture quality over USB, basically out of the box plug and play setting up in Windows. So really nice. Just a quick firmware update and then we're away. So now for another fair test, what I wanted to do is demonstrate the setup with the Razer Audio Mixer. This is obviously an alternative to the Go XLR, and I'm just using it because I have it on hand, but it's very similar to the Go XLR MIDI. I've done a video on it separately, but I want to demonstrate a few things. So I am using the microphone now plugged into the Audio Mixer, and you can see on the right hand side the control center for this. And there are a few things of interest here immediately, actually. So you will notice there's a gain slider here in the mic settings, and you can also see a meter bar, which lets you know like the volumes of what's running through it. And you can see a few quick things that noise gate is currently turned off, and so is compressor. And yet there's no extra audio going through to the system, and I can see this in OBS as well while I'm recording, and that means that the mic is eliminating as standard the background noise. So my computer is like right behind the fan, right behind the mic. It's very close, so well, it's basically as far away as the boom arm is, so not very far at all. And I usually have problems with traffic noise from outside the window and other things. So you might hear some of that, but I think it was basically immediately eliminated without any need for messing around. Now, the problem with a lot of XLR microphones that you usually find is you have to do a lot of messing about in order to get them sounding right. And what I'm saying here is that basically plugging the mic into the audio mixer and then having it on its default settings sounds really good. Now, obviously, we can also go into changing some of the other sound settings. So I can put radio voice on, I can put balanced on, mid-focused, custom. I'm just going to leave it as default because my voice obviously has a lot of bass anyway. And that either people hate that or love it, depending on their viewpoints. But the point also here is that I'm running at 30 decibels of gain, which is about the same as what the Rodecaster Pro 2 was. But what I found is that I can drop this down a bit and it still sound great. So if you do have problems with eliminating background noise, let's say your environment is noisier than mine somehow, you could try turning the gain down, and then obviously turning on noise gate as well will help eliminate some of that. And then if you find that's an issue because the noise gate is cutting things out a bit much, then you just adjust it to the right position. We can go this way, for example, and turn the gain up, and then you can do compressor settings so you can make things sound a bit better or different, but just like default it sounds great. And obviously we could also turn the gain up more, because if the room is quiet and you have a higher gain, it means you can sit further away from the microphone, although frankly you get a better sound if you're close up. But again, even at a higher levels you shouldn't be clipping. The other interesting thing here is I usually have a short SM7B somewhere around a 50 decibel mark, so it shows you the difference in this. Obviously this requires phantom power though, so it is a bit different. So that is the takeaway there, is that this thing is really easy to set up, and it is actually probably one of only 2 remarkably easy microphones to set up that I've tested. This XLR microphone and the Logitech Blue Sonar. And that microphone was a similar sort of logic with built-in tech that was designed to eliminate background noise. And that was also remarkably easy, plug and play. And most XLR microphones are not plug and play because you have to mess around with the gain, you have to mess around with compressor, noise gate, EQ settings, and a lot of other things. So unless you're paying for something like the Rodecaster Pro 2, where it has default settings for that microphone, you usually, if you're buying a more affordable thing like a Go XLR Mini or Razer Audio Mixer or something similar, you usually have to mess around a lot more with the settings. So there we go. Big thumbs up to the NT1 just for the convenience of that setup. Be sure to check out the other links in the description to find out more about the microphone directly from Rode, and specs, places to buy, and all the other stuff that you need. This has been the Provoked Prawn. Thanks very much for watching. You've made it right to the end of the video, you brilliant legend you. If you've enjoyed it, click that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, and drop me a comment down below if you've got any questions. If you really enjoyed it, consider joining the channel and see the benefits of doing so. Check out these other videos. You might well find them interesting or useful. And most importantly, have a great life.